Is your steering sluggish? Brakes feeling off with that hydro boost? Your power steering fluid might be the problem. It breaks down, turning into a gritty mess that's killing your performance. But there's a simple fix. Flushing your power steering system can bring your truck's handling back to life, preventing costly repairs. Hey everyone, this is MPA Parts Smart, your aftermarket automotive experts. Hit subscribe and solve this problem today, along with ASE certified, master mechanic, Ted Wires. We can show you exactly how to do it right. Don't let bad fluid ruin your ride. Unlock that smooth drive you've been missing.
Hello everyone, I'm Ted Wires with Motor Car Parts of America. Today we're going to talk about flushing the power steering system on a vehicle equipped with Hydro Boost. And so, before we get started, why do we actually flush the power steering system? Why do we need to do that? Well, over time, the power steering fluid breaks down. It loses its lubricating properties, it loses its heat dissipation properties, and its anti-corrosion properties. So that's why we got to flush it periodically. Some symptoms you might notice: your steering sluggish, not quite as responsive as it used to be. Braking, we're doing Hydro Boost, so the braking doesn't feel like the pedal doesn't feel like it used to. Not braking responsibly. Maybe the pedal's actually pushing back. Maybe it's actually reporting back to you. So to flush the power steering system out can actually prevent issues in the future. So when do we flush the power steering system? Good rule of thumb is 50,000 miles, but you really need to consult with either your owner's manual or the vehicle manufacturer service information to see when you need to do that. But you need to do it to keep the system running efficiently and smoothly. So what will you need to do this? A few things that we're going to need equipment-wise to flush the power steering system is obviously going to need the correct fluid. So in your service information, which you should get first, you look up and see what the correct fluid is that you'll need. Then we're going to need a funnel. We're going to need our drain pan. We're going to need something to extract the fluid out of the reservoir. We've got some line here that we're going to attach to the reservoir, or to the return lines rather, and that's going to take our fluid away from the vehicle so we don't make a mess. And then we're going to have, of course, various hose clamps, fittings, mirror, safety glasses, of course, gloves. So you're going to need all of this, maybe some other things, whatever particular vehicle you have, specific to that vehicle, but this is what you're going to need. Now that we've got our service information, now that we've got all the equipment that we need, we want to go through the power steering system and check all the components, including the lines, including the Hydro Boost unit, including the pump, the steering gear equipped, racket pinion if that's equipped, and make sure we don't have any leaks, we don't have any lines that are worn out. But we need to go step by step and check all of our components of the power steering system. So let's do that now. So down here we got our pump. And all of our associated lines. We got 2 return lines on this particular vehicle. This particular vehicle has a cooler in it. So you got to be mindful of the cooler too. And you can check that right through here. Check down in there and check the cooler. Also need to check all the associated pressure lines. You've got return lines and pressure lines. So you've got our pressure line here. That's coming from the pump up to here. And so you want to check and see if we got any leaks, we got any ballooning, got any fraying, anything like that. Nothing there. We want to check down here. We've got a line coming from this Hydro Boost unit. This is your Hydro Boost unit, by the way. And you want to check this line going down to the steering gear for the same thing. And you got to check down here in the steering gear. It's kind of hard to see, but we want to be able to check that as well to see if it's leaking, if it's swelled up, if it's frayed or anything like that. We also, a good thing to have is this mirror, because if you're checking this, you might have a Hydro Boost unit, and you might have wetness around here, some fluid around here. You want to see if it's coming from power steering. I mean, you can check and see, but you can also get your mirror under here and see where it's coming from, if it's leaking. Or do we have a master cylinder leaking or something like that if you got fluid around here? Once you've inspected everything and you've determined that everything's good to go, then we'll flush it. We'll show you that here in a minute. Now we're going to get ready to start flushing. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take the cap off the reservoir, and we want to get as much fluid out of this reservoir as possible, which is going to be pretty much all of it. And so you take your fluid extractor, whatever you use. We're not really promoting anything tool-wise, but whatever you use to extract the fluid out of the reservoir. And as you can see, it's pretty dirty. I mean, once we get done flushing, we'll show you what's inside the system itself, but it's pretty dirty. So it smells burnt. So it's a good idea to obviously flush this. We knew that, but just want to kind of show you what comes out of that reservoir. You can expect this to be in the system and maybe some chunks of rubber or debris or whatever. So, but you've got to start with the reservoir and get it empty, because we're going to pour new fluid in there, and then we're going to start from there. So the new fluid will replenish the system and push the old fluid out as we're flushing it, and we're going to keep it topped off. So there's that. Going some more out, as much as we can. Everything out of here. Get everything out. Okay. All right, let's make sure that we got everything out of there. Let's keep the light down here and look. Looks pretty empty to me. So now we're empty. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the return lines off. We're going to attach these clear lines. So, and you can use any line, any kind of hydraulic line, any hose that you want. We're going to use these. We've got two, right? We've got two return lines. We've got one from the Hydro Boost and one from the cooler. And right before we begin the flushing process, two more steps here. We're taking the fuel pump relay out of this vehicle so it won't start. We're disabling the engine from starting. We don't want it to start. You can do it in starting. It's a lot easier if you don't, but you can do that too. It makes some noise, but we like to disable it. So when we got that out of there, remember, use your service information. Whatever works for you to disable the engine from starting, that's what you do. We're doing a fuel pump relay here, so that seems to be the easiest. Now we've got this thing set up. We're going to get it up off the ground. I want to pour a little bit of clean fluid in here. There it goes. So just get any extra, dirty fluid out of there that's left over. You get these fittings here, and you just connect them. They're pretty tight. And then we'll need to do the other one that's coming off of the gear return line. Okay. We're going to run these to your drain pan. And the old fluid's going to come out of here where we crank it. And then we're going to watch and see the new fluid come out. Once the new fluid comes out and the bubbles are gone, we're good to go. So one thing crucial, we're going to fill up our can. We've got to keep clean fluid in that at all times. But it's crucial that you use the correct power steering fluid for your vehicle. Remember I talked about the service information. That's going to tell you what you need. You may use regular power steering fluid or maybe something special. So you've got to use the correct fluid. It's very important that you do. Otherwise, your power steering system won't work right. Might not work right. So let's do that now. Okay, so as we're getting set up here, when I talked about why we do flushing, I want to add that, the fluid breaks down and all that, but you'll have a real burnt smell. And this fluid is really burnt. I mean, it's burnt bad. So I don't believe this truck's ever been flushed. It's a GMC truck, 2003. But you really have that burnt smell. So this needs flushed really bad. So give me these zip ties. Okay, so we've got the correct fluid in the reservoir, clean fluid, got everything set up. Let me get some fluid here. As you can see, we're getting all the power steering fluid out of the gear side, and we're starting to get all the fluid, the old fluid, out of the hydro boost side. So it takes pumping the brake several times. That's why you've got to splice different on hydro boost. You have to pump the brake while you're cranking it, and turn the steering wheel. So it comes out a little slower than the steering side, but eventually it'll all come out. So as you can see, we're done flushing this vehicle right now. We got it a lot cleaner than it was. It was black and so and burnt, but we got the fluid clean, as clean as this one's going to get, which is a lot better than it was. So you see the need to flush these systems. This one's probably never been flushed in its 180,000 mile life. So, we got it pretty clean. Most air bubbles out. Just be aware, once you put it all back together and you top it off with fluid and you're bleeding it out, you may need to do a vacuum bleed. But there's procedures for that. But, we can see up here, we got a lot of most of the bubbles are out of it, out of both these, hydro boost and steering gear. So, a lot cleaner. So we're good to go. We're going to put this back together, fill it up with the correct fluid. We went through 4.5 quarts of fluid to flush this. I have another probably 1 quart filled up, and that's going to be it. All right, now that we flushed everything, we're placing any lines that we wanted to, everything cleaned up. We always recommend that you get a filter, power steering filter, steering system filter right here. This particular vehicle takes 2. There's different sizes you can use, but these filters are invaluable to keep, contaminants out of the system, little particles and rubber or anything like that. So they're a great addition when you finish flushing the power steering system. They're serviceable. Next time you flush the power steering system, you just replace it. It's replaceable. You can get them at any auto parts store. So we recommend doing that.